All-Star voting is coming to a close here pretty soon. Cade Cunningham will obviously make it, but should Jalen Duren also be a second Piston All-Star? We'll talk about today's episode, Locked On Pistons Podcast.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I am your host, Khahil. I've been covering the Detroit Pistons for the last 4 years, been a credential media member over the last 3 years. I appreciate all of you guys who make Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We are joined by friend of the podcast, Matt Griffin. Today we'll be discussing whether Jalen Duren should be an All-Star with Cade Cunningham. I think Cade's going to be an All-Star starter, pretty 100% on that. Will the Pistons get a second All-Star? We'll talk about that. Jaren Jackson Jr. coming up into reports. Recent rumors that the Pistons are interested in him. Grizzlies might be selling off the team. Should the Pistons go after JJJ? And then also we'll talk about, is Matt concerned about Ausar Thompson? But let's go ahead and start off with Jalen Duren. Matt, this is your guy, man. You've become I've been high on his offense since his rookie year, but you've usurped me. You think he's
not hard to usurp. Not hard to usurp you on Jalen Duren. He's like if there were expansion teams coming, and so everybody could only protect 6 players. Duren would probably be Kuz like 6th or potentially
that's just cap.
Protected. No, this you guys should hear the way that this guy talks about Jalen Duren.
This is just cap. It's just cap.
I passed. Your cousin who's never heard of Jalen Duren is higher on Jalen Duren than Kuz. If you're any of the 6 million people who viewed the video of Jalen Duren with his shirt off the other day, you're probably higher on Jalen Duren than Kuz. No, yeah, he's been great. I mean, I guess it's your podcast, so I don't even know what you're asking right now.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance.
He's an All-Star. He should be an All-Star.
I didn't even get to ask the question yet. Matt started talking about Jalen Duren with no shirt on and his tattoos and like what's going on with Matt over there?
You said tattoos.
That's what you said, bro. I don't know what you're talking about, bro. So Cade's gonna be an All-Star. Do you think Jalen Duren should be one? And do you think it's close?
No, it's not really close. Yes, I think Jalen Duren should be one. I mean, well, first of all, I'll say All-Star selections don't happen in a vacuum, right? And we are in this Eastern Conference as it is right now. And I mean, just go through the teams. Well, maybe we could just start off with we're the 1 seed, and generally a 1 seed gets multiple All-Stars. Like that is kind of how it goes most of the times, or at least one of the top seeds get multiple All-Stars. And I think that Jalen Duren is probably first in line among the second options or second best players of the top of the East, I would say. Like I think that he's had a better season than Karl-Anthony Towns, for example, or Evan Mobley. And I mean, once you pass those guys, how many All-Star bigs are there really in the Eastern Conference? You can call Giannis an All-Star big. Obviously, he is a complete lock. But beyond that, I mean, Scotty Barnes, he plays some minutes at the 5, I guess. But both of those guys really are 4s more so, or considered forwards. There's not a lot of competition for true bigs in the Eastern Conference.
Do they count voting for bigs? I thought it was just any players.
They don't, but I'm saying like they're not going to have an All-Star team with 1 big.
Right. Fair enough. Yeah, I think he'll be an All-Star. I don't think it's as clear cut as Matt does, but I do think he'll make it through. Do you want to run through who you think are the current All-Stars right now? Do you have a list?
I did not write down a list, but I think I could do it fairly quickly.
All right, so
if you have it written down.
Yeah, I have a few guys written down here. So I got Cade from the Pistons, got Jaylen Brown from the Celtics, Jalen Brunson from the Knicks, got Tyrese Maxey from the Sixers. That's what, 5? I got 5 right there, or 4.
4.
Donovan Mitchell from the Cavs. I think that's 5 right there. Giannis from the Bucks. That's 6. I think Scotty Barnes will make it. That's 7.
Yep.
I think one of the Magic players will make it, whether it be Paolo or Franz. I think they'll get someone.
There's just no way Paolo's in the All-Star game.
Well, I think they'll give it to Franz then.
I don't know. He's missed like half of the season.
You don't think the Magic will? Oh, either way.
Well, I mean, sometimes that does happen. They don't. He's missed.
Even if the Magic don't,
even if the Magic
do get somebody. Yeah, I was just about to say, even if the Magic do get somebody, I don't think they get one over Duren. So the Sixers only are getting one, I think. The Pistons, I think, will get two, Jalen Duren and Cade. Yep. I think Boston only will get one. Do you think Boston gets two guys over there?
I think Derek White's got a good case.
I think Cat will eventually make it. I don't think Cat's just not going to make it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Cat would make it over Derek White. Although I don't know. I feel like people, like the media in particular, I feel like has wanted to kind of put Derek White in an All-Star game.
There's been, I've seen some push for Pascal Siakam also to make it into the All-Star game recently with how he's been playing.
That's reasonable. But that's what the Eastern Conference, they don't even have 10 wins, right?
Yeah, they have 9 wins.
Jr., he's an All-Star.
Oh, yeah, MPJ. Yeah, MPJ.
Yeah.
I think Duren will pretty clearly make
spots.
it. Yeah. I don't think there's much resistance here for Duren, especially in this East, especially with how he's playing in the Pistons. Just continue to build this lead in the first place spot. He's been fantastic for the Pistons all year. I mean, last game it felt like it was a quiet night for him. I think it was like 18 and 16 on like 8 of 13 shooting. He's gotten better on both ends of the floor. He's been fantastic. So I do think this will be the year the Pistons get 2 All-Stars, and make and Cade to be a starter and Jalen Duren to come off the bench. I guess we could just wrap it up because whether he'll be an All-Star or not, I think is pretty straightforward. We both think it's going to happen. I just want to get your quick thoughts just on how you think he's played this year and what's been most impressive to you about Jalen Duren.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously we've talked about it a couple times. He's played great. There's not much else to say about that. I think he's improved in almost every aspect of the game. He's improved on both ends of the floor. I know he's second on the team, I believe, in net rating, right? Like right behind Cade. I think that they're neck and neck around +7. And I think Paul Reed is right there too. But that goes to my point. I mean, Jalen Duren to have that big of an on-off swing when he's subbing out for the best backup center in the NBA. You know what I mean? And we have the third best, or we have the best third string center in the NBA too. So I think like that just kind of shows the level of impact that he's at. He's been great in lineups with Isaiah Stewart. He's been great in lineups without Isaiah Stewart. I mean, he's just a monster on the glass. It feels like he's a consistent possession ender on defense. Offensively, he creates a ton of extra possessions. And I think just like sometimes you could watch a game and maybe it doesn't pop up in the box score, but you're just like, man, that guy he owns the paint. Like the painted area in this game right now is kind of being ran by, is being dominated by one of the two teams, by one of the two centers. Feels like a lot of times this season, even if he doesn't have 20 and 15, it feels like the answer to that question has been Jalen Duren or the Pistons in general, really. But I mean, he spearheads that, of course. The leap that he's taken has been great. The most impressive thing, though, about his season, I think it has to be the off the dribble game that he's continuing to add. I mean, the mid-range shot just keeps going in. He'll take one of them every other game or whatever, and every single time I feel like it goes in. I've been begging him to shoot more of that shot since, I guess, probably like the third week of the season when it was clear that he kind of went up a level. So that's just the next step to me, but he's been great. He's been great. You can't ask for more. I don't know how you could have expected a better season than this.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. It's the off the dribble game and the shot creation. They've needed that, and for a team that doesn't really have another secondary shot career or whatever, he's basically been that all year, and he's consistently been efficient with it. It hasn't been a drop off really. He's still uber efficient. Like you said, you're seeing some pull up jumpers at times. You're seeing post fadeaways at times. I do wish he was a little bit more eager as a passer out of those situations, but I mean that's splitting hairs at this point. I mean, he's been so efficient on these drives and on this shot creation that it's been such a crazy jump from him in that regard. So I think he'll end up getting his first All-Star team nod, and it's looking pretty good for him with his payday coming up. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I mean, just like given, he is kind of featured as the second scorer in this offense, essentially. That's where we go to for production, and he's been so efficient. And with the sort of varying play types as he's continued to open up his game, he's still just been automatic, it feels like, around the rim. And obviously, the percentage is not quite as good as it was when he was literally just dunking everything, it felt like, when his job was really simplified. But it's still elite. And I think that an underrated part of his efficiency, I think, overall, is that when he misses, maybe I should phrase it, 48% of his misses, we rebound. And obviously he rebounds a lot of those. But that's almost near the tops in the league. I mean, that's like half of his misses we get back. That doesn't really hurt anything. You know what I mean? So he's been so good offensively. The swing that it is when he's on the floor versus off the floor offensively, I think goes to show how impactful he's been. Just a monster of an offensive center already at his age. Third, I think, among all centers in EPM on offense behind Şengün and Jokic. Really good player. I'm very excited.
Yeah, so I think Jalen Duren will end up being an All-Star this year. He's, 22 years old? He just turned 22?
Just turned 22.
22 years old, going to get his first All-Star appearance, and the Pistons will have 2 All-Stars, I believe, in the All-Star game. Great situation. Like I said earlier, I think Jalen Duren will be getting a hefty payday this offseason. But coming up, we're hearing the Pistons and some rumors. According to Mike Scotto, are they interested in Jaren Jackson Jr., and do we think they should actually go after him if the Grizzlies do decide to just blow it up, which it sounds like they're going to? We'll talk about it coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by DoorDash. The season's heating up, and DoorDash has a way to keep fans in their bag the whole way through. Whether you're watching the highlights, the tunnel fits, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes the entire season more fun. Because every player has their bag. With DoorDash, fans have one too. DoorDash keeps your snacks stocked, your gear fresh, and your watch party vibes absolutely on point. There are nights when your team stresses you out. Let DoorDash become your post-game therapy. Sometimes you just need that dessert now. From tip-off to overtime, stay in your bag and order with DoorDash. Get snacks, drinks, and gear, whatever gets you through the season, delivered right to your door. Again, from tip-off to overtime, stay in your bag and order on DoorDash. That's what DoorDash in your bag all season long. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. Let's go ahead and get into it and talk about Jaren Jackson Jr. As I've told you guys multiple times in the last few podcasts, you are going to continue to hear the Detroit Pistons in trade rumors until the trade deadline comes around. Some of them will be fake. Some of them will be agent driven. Some of them will have no truth to it. Others will have a lot of truth to them. I think the Pistons are going to be, I'm doing a little bit of speculating and also based off things I've heard. So it's like a hypothetical guess, that the Pistons are going to be active in regards to just sniffing around the market and figuring out what they can get, what this package can get them, who actually is available, whether they actually pull the trigger or not on a trade, we'll see. But this front office is being active and figuring out what value is this player, how much value does this player have, what package could we get with this guy. They are being active. And the newest report today is from Mike Scotto. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He has reported that, well, who was the other team, Matt? It was the Pistons and do you remember?
It Boston?
Yes, the Pistons and Boston are showing interest in Jaren Jackson Jr. This is what he said, and I'll pass it off to Matt. He said, amid Ja Morant trade talks, Jaren Jackson Jr. remains a player the Memphis Grizzlies want to build with, according to ESPN report. However, that stance hasn't stopped various teams across the league from registering interest in Jackson Jr., including the Detroit Pistons and the Boston Celtics, league sources have told Hoops Hype. Now, that obviously makes it seem like the Grizzlies aren't really in a situation where they want to or have to get rid of Jaren Jackson Jr. But if they trade Ja Morant, start moving these players, and they really look like they're heading into a rebuild, that will cause all the vultures to start circling around and be like, okay, well, you don't really need Jaren Jackson Jr. And I think that you'll see a trade market develop there. Before Matt goes, I do want to let everybody know, if you remember back to the offseason, I said on the podcast, one of the episodes, I don't know which one, that Jaren Jackson Jr. is one of the names that I had heard that the front office was very high on, and if he ever became available, that's someone they would keep their eyes on. So if he actually were to become available, I think that this front office would be heavily interested, and I would not be shocked if they did part with some assets to go after him. So with that said, Matt, do you think that Jaren Jackson Jr. is the swing or is the player that this front office should go after? Or do you see other players? Do you see smaller moves? Where are you at with the Pistons and JJJ?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's tough. I actually think that you got to start with beyond the basketball fit, because I do think, well, one, there are basketball questions to be had about Jaren, but I do think that the Pistons cover up for some of his deficiencies in a way that most teams wouldn't, particularly as a rebounder, I think. And just, I don't think that he would be tasked with decision-making a whole lot, given the roster that surrounds him, obviously, particularly Cade. If the more that Jaren can just kind of work off the catch, I've always felt, the better. But I would start with the contract, which has him making over $50 million going through the 2030 season. He has a player option on at the end of 2020, at the end of the 2029 season to push him through to 2030. And I have to assume that he'll be picking that one up. That makes it incredibly hard to sign Ausar Thompson. Assuming, like you said, Jalen Duren has lined himself up for a massive bag this offseason. I am just assuming that it's a max contract. I think that's just kind of what guys get when they're all stars at 22 and the second best player on the best team in the conference. They get max contracts. So so with that being said, once it's time to pay Ausar, and you can get ahead of it, obviously, and pay him this offseason, but that contract kicks in 2 years before Jaren Jackson comes off the books. For those 2 years, I mean, you are really navigating a tight ship. I don't even know that Isaiah Stewart could feasibly be on the team. Maybe he could, and you'd have to touch the tax, you'd have to touch the repeater to keep him around. Things get really tight. So that's concern number one. And you would definitely also need a commitment from Tom Gores that he'd be willing to shell out, luxury tax money.
Tom Gores will be willing to pay.
Yeah, I was going to say there's no reason to believe that he wouldn't be. But we've seen Denver, like in the middle of a championship run, make moves that are cost cutting. It happens. And they have Kroenke owning it. So it happens, but he's an incredible player. He's unbelievably talented defensively. I mean, he is just a game wrecker of all game wreckers. I don't know that there's a player in the league. Well, there probably is. I mean, Wemby in particular, but there's only a couple players in the league, I think, who can weaponize sort of cover or weaponize their length to cover so much ground like Jaren Jackson does. He's incredibly mobile. He blocks everything at the rim. As a weak side guy, he's basically the best in the league. Won a defensive player of the year, basically just because of his work as a roamer on that back line. He's a monster in that regard. Can't rebound, isn't really physical. Like when I think of hey, what's going to translate to playoff basketball, who can kind of survive in those deeper playoff runs, that more physical environment. Jaren Jackson is one of those guys that I kind of has a little red flag next to him. I'm not sure that will ever look great. Last year it would look horrific, but that was against OKC. So we give him some grace for that. But I don't know, he's kind of a complicated player, unbelievably talented. I wouldn't be mad at the swing at all. If we got Jaren Jackson, I'd be super excited. Michigan State Spartan, obviously, which we love. But as Tom Izzo once did, I understand being weary of his playoff viability.
So before I give my answer, is there another player that you would that you've heard the Pistons speculated to be interested in that you'd rather have? If you were told the Pistons are making a move, would you say JJJ, or is there someone else in the market that you would rather hear the news is that the Pistons traded for?
I mean, I think that the Pelicans' wings, especially both of them, if some sort of swing were to happen, that if you were really trying to gear up and give up a lot of assets to get something, I think that would excite me more. But I just think the general idea of Michael Porter Jr. I mean, we talk all the time about how we need we need volume 3-point shooting, and we do badly need volume 3-point shooting. And Jaren Jackson is like a shooter for a 4. Michael Porter Jr. is the second best shooter on planet Earth potentially right now, right? Is that crazy to say? I feel like it's not. So there's just a big gap in terms of what they bring and what they provide in that one particular area. Of course, the gap is the Grand Canyon on the defensive end of the basketball, and that's important too. But Michael Porter also rebounds, right? And Jaren Jackson doesn't do that. And the reason really that I would prefer Michael Porter Jr. over Jaren Jackson, it's not because he's a better player, because he's not, but it's just the contract is so much easier to work around and so much easier to work with, that he does not creep over into the paying Ausar territory. I think just makes our lives a lot easier. The front office's lives a lot easier.
Yeah, so just to give you guys I think you said the contract, but I'll say it again. He's getting paid $49 million this year, $50 million next year, $52 million the year after that, and then he has a player option for $53.5 in 2030. He will be 30 years old.
Near 30% of the cap.
Right. It will be 27% of the cap as of right now, but I'm sure that might change as
I think it just gets up to like 28. I don't know. It's in that range the whole time.
He'll be 30 that year, so he is young. He's a young player. He'll if you were to have him on the team, he'd grow with this team. He's in his prime. It's not like he's an old guy. So he would grow with this team. He is a hefty contract. But I do think he's probably the best player that you've heard the Pistons be, I guess, rumored interested in. I think he's just the best player. Defensively, I think that would make them a better defensive team than OKC. I'm not gonna lie to you. If they had Ausar, I'm not. Look, they just surpassed OKC the last 15 games, I think, in defensive rating. You add Jaren Jackson Jr. to Ausar, Stu, and I think you have the best defensive team in the league. So that's why I think it'd take them. I do think he provides outside shooting, but like you said, it's not really like on a ton of volume. Like it is for like an MPJ. I think he shoots around 5.3 a game, which is not nothing. It's a
slow get up, dude. It's a slow get. Like it is not. It's not like he could take 9 threes. You know.
Yeah. So look, I'm interested in JJJ. I think he's a fantastic basketball player, and if they did go after him, I would be on board. I think the ceiling with him is high, because I think the defensive ceiling just goes to another level. And I think offensively, while he isn't super physical, he is talented in that end. He does space the floor, and I think he provides something with his length, especially. You'd have size. Ausar, JD, and JJJ with Cade. You could play another, like you have some lengths out there at all times. Yeah. It would be, I struggle. I think like JJJ is the perfect fit, like next to Duren too. Like you mentioned earlier, the Pistons uniquely cover for most of his weaknesses. Like he's not physical. He doesn't like to rebound. Or the Pistons have Ausar and JD who are like the best rebounders at their positions, or some of the best rebounders at their positions. So like they cover for him a little bit. I don't know. I at first, when I first heard this, I was like, if you're going to go make the swing, go get him. Go get him then, because he raises everything. I think I've fallen a little bit off. I'm not against it at all. And if they did it, I would be on board. I think he's a fantastic player. I guess I would just be a little bit more weary of it, because there is a part of me that thinks that MPJ, let me not say MPJ, but a player like MPJ, man, I just really think the team needs this volume 3-point shooting. I think that might be like number one for me. It's just, I think this team, like this past game, they made 9 threes of them, 9 threes in the game. 7 of them were Duncan and Jaden Ivey. Like, it's just like, you get nothing. Yeah. You're just getting nothing from everyone else. So when you got Ron taking 7 threes a game, it's just like, he's not supposed to be your volume 3-point. You don't want him taking threes. Like so that's where I'm at. I do want to say this real quickly though. You mentioned the whole contract messing with Ausar. We're going to talk about Ausar in a minute, but just to give you a preview, if Ausar keeps playing like this, the contract will not be as large, and they might get him on a scam contract to where they're not going to, it's not really going to be as big of a problem as maybe we thought of before the season or to start the season, if the season keeps going this way. But go ahead. I just want to throw that out there before we'll touch more on that later, guys. But
no, that's a good point. But on the Jaren front, how do you feel about like his off the dribble game? Like, I've always thought like this is good for a big.
I don't think he's like some crazy half-court creator.
Like, I don't think he can actually be like your second creator, quote unquote, in a playoff series. Probably.
Fair. I'd agree with that.
So you'd still have that issue. I mean, if you think that he would make the defense better than OKC, and I mean, like, I get it. I don't know. OKC really just has no gaps. You know what I mean? Like there's no hole. There's really nothing to attack on top of, having all the sort of all defense caliber guys that they do. But I get what you're saying. I mean, if that would put you in that territory, like I definitely get why.
I mean, imagine a lineup with Cade, Ron, Ausar, JJJ, and Stu.
I mean, yeah, that would be the best defense.
I don't know how any team's scoring on that. Like,
but maybe one day that is our starting lineup. That would actually not probably ever be our starting lineup, because
I'm not talking about starting. Yeah, I'm not saying Stu would start over there.
I understand.
I'm just saying that's the lineup you could equip.
Yeah, no, you're right. No, I don't know. I get it. I would be excited. I'd bet on it. I don't know. I have my own qualms with Triple J. I remember having a conversation. I think it was around. Remember when me and you were doing the streams and it was our top 100 players list. And I remember talking with some people around that time when we were doing those lists, and I was just like, man, I just don't think that I would want to go to war with Jaren Jackson. You know, like that's just not who I want in the trenches. So, like it kind of is as simple as that. Like I don't know that I'm coming home. You know, taking Jaren out there. So I take that for what it's worth.
Fair enough. Let us know in the comments down below. Would you guys be happy with Jaren Jackson Jr. being on the Pistons? Would you want the Pistons to go out and actually, we have to hit on this. We didn't even say on this, but we're running long, so let's be quick. Do you think they would have to give up too much to get him? Like, what package do you think they would have to give up? Because I don't think the Pistons are willing to trade Ausar still. Like, I don't. Everything I've heard is that they're not moving Ausar.
Ron would have to be in it for sure.
You think Ron would have to be in it?
I think Ron would have to be in it. Ron and like at least 3 picks, probably. I don't like that's rich for me, but also I get it. Those picks are probably not going to be very good.
Yeah, I was thinking they would try to get away with draft. I was thinking they would try to get away with Ivy, Tobias, Magic, or Levert with 3 picks and then a pick swap.
You don't think the Grizzlies would be able to get players for? I don't know. I just think somebody would beat that. But
probably. Yeah, I don't think the Pistons are willing. Everything I've heard is that they wouldn't be interested in moving Ron or Ausar.
One guy I will say to keep an eye on, as Peyton Watson has been detonated.
He's been great
after Jokic went out. They're gonna probably have to move Cam Johnson. They're gonna have to make a choice between Cam Johnson and Peyton Watson at the end of this year. And I mean, Cam Johnson kind of fills that
2 years too late. 2 years later.
Yeah, well, maybe.
All right.
Good player.
All right, let us know in the comment section down below. Would you guys want Jaren Jackson Jr. on the Detroit Pistons? But coming up, I'm going to talk with Matt about one of my favorite players. Obviously, everyone knows Ausar Thompson has not been playing well as of late. Should you be concerned about Ausar? Is Matt concerned about Ausar? We'll talk about it coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame and limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Friday from 6 to 7:30 Eastern Time have become important viewing with NBA Happy Hour. Opening the FanDuel app during Happy Hour always brings something new. Boost, bonuses, and surprises. It adds extra energy to Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe on the YouTube channel. Leave us a 5-star review, whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. We're going to talk about Ausar here because I wish I could ask JB a question about this. I haven't been able to. Hopefully someone else does. Wink, wink, elbow, elbow, nudge, nudge. Please, someone ask anything about Ausar's, how he's been playing as of late. Like, please. But I want to set the stage real quick before I get Matt's thoughts. And we talked about it a little bit in the last podcast. So, Ausar, the first 26 games of the year, 12 points a game, 6 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 52% from the field. He was playing really well. I thought he was playing the best basketball of his career. I thought we were seeing him play some of the best offensive basketball of his career. He was still one of the best defenders on the planet while also bringing some of this offensive aggressiveness that we've wanted to see from him. Then the last 9 games, the middle of the Western road trip, I think it was the game right after Portland. Last 9 games, 8 points a game, 5.3 rebounds, 2.2 assists, and he's down to 46% shooting from the field. He has not looked nearly as good the last 9 games. And during the last 9 games, he's had some like peaks as a defender still, because I mean it's not like he's all of a sudden stopped being a good defender. But his offensive game has been abysmal. I think that would be fair. Like, he's not been very good at all on offense the last 9 games. And this is something I talked about in the last podcast. The craziest thing about this is that the immediate 3 games before this 9-game stretch was probably his best offensive stretch of basketball in his career. He was averaging 17, 7, and 3, 51% shooting, was getting to the free throw line 7 times a game, shooting 65% from the free throw line. playing some of the best offensive basketball of his career, and then all of a sudden, this last 9 games, he's just fallen off a cliff. I don't know what's happened. Last number one, throw out there before Matt says anything. This is probably the most like saddening thing for me. For the first time ever in Ausar's career, you know what I'm about to say?
Yeah.
For the
dude.
for the first time ever, Ausar's been in the league for 3 years now. For the first time ever, the Pistons are not better with them on the floor over the last 9 games. Throughout his career, they have dominated his minutes. Throughout his career, they have been much better with them on the floor. The first 26 games of the year, with those numbers he was putting up, they were 5 points better with them on the floor. The offense was actually 8 points better when he was on the floor. Offense was 8 points better with them on the floor the first 26 games of the year. Last 9 games, not good. Not good the last 9 games. The team has been 18 points better with him off the floor last 9 games. So he is struggling massively the last 9 games, I would say. Matt, are you concerned about Ausar, or do you think this is just a rough stretch?
I think it's just a rough stretch. I think that this is one of those things where covering the team or being a diehard fan of the team, being a person who listens to a podcast about the team every single day, this is one of those moments where like it kind of hurts you, or like I think that you aren't benefited by being that, like you're almost too close. You're zoomed too far in. You're too granular. Like you said, he's had a whole career of impacting winning, right? Of a whole career of making the team better when he's on the floor, of supercharging, the defense in particular, but also like the transition attack on offense. And I would love to see, I wish I looked it up before, but like what our transition rate has been over those last 9 games. Like has that fallen off a little bit? Because I like just kind of thinking of it in my head, I guess I feel like I haven't seen him sort of, running those transition possessions as often and engineering those like he was a lot at the start of the year. And it felt like it was kind of automatic that he would at least touch paint and make the right decision, if not finish himself. So maybe I'll check that out after this. But I'm just not worried. Like 9 games is not enough for me to kind of like on a player who I've, over the course of over 100 games, right, of thousands of possessions and thousands of minutes that we watch Ausar Thompson play basketball, and our evaluation, right, has come back and said, hey, this guy is just a contributor to winning. What he does defensively, it's not always going to show up on the box score, but like just his late value is very obvious to us. And, the numbers have his entire career. I can't throw that away for 10 games. Maybe it sounds like I'm carrying water for him because he is my favorite player. And, I know that you're kind of in the same boat. But 9 games is 9 games. It's a long season. A lot of basketball to be played.
Yeah, so I would agree that I'm not long-term worried about him. Like you mentioned, he has such a long sample, a big sample of just being a winning player and the team being better with him on the floor. I mean, it's not like we're going back to last year. Literally the first 26 games of this year, they were dominating his minutes again. Like it was the exact same thing like it's been his whole career. And then the last 9 games, he's just really struggled. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is there anything you're seeing the last 9 games that look completely different from the beginning of the year? I think he's not involved nearly as much in the offense. I think he's, especially the last few games, he's kind of just wandering on the offensive end of the floor. Like there's times where he's just like,
it almost feels like Ron felt for a lot of the year.
Yes. I compared it to how Ron felt in like November, in the month of, I think it was November, when he really was struggling badly. And Ron was just kind of floating around, didn't know where to be. That's kind of how I feel about Ausar right now. He's just like, if you watch the half-court offense before, he was handling the ball. He was running pick and rolls, getting downhill. They were running them in screening action. He was cutting. They knew exactly opposite weak side corner, cutting down the weak side. Like it seemed like very intentional. He knew where to be and what his role was. Last 9 games, it just feels like he's kind of just out there. It's like he doesn't, I don't know. Is there anything that you've noticed?
Yeah, I think that the floating is like a good point. It does feel like maybe he is a little bit less involved with the structure of the offense, less sort of directly involved in actions that they're running and things like that. And that's because they JB directly, I think, tried to involve him in as many of those as he could, throughout particularly at the start of the year until sort of this weird little tailspin. And that we've always said like that is the way to use him, right? Like he is a kind of a rare offensive talent in that sense, that there's not a lot of players that you would kind of use like this. Like he is pretty good in the dunker spot. He can eat from in there, and he can screen and roll, or he can be the ball handler in a pick and roll. But you don't want him just spacing the floor. That's the worst thing that you can do. And it does feel like he's doing that a little bit more recently. But I mean, feels like he's hitting the ground a lot. Like, I don't know, losing his footing weirdly. That's kind of always been a thing with him, though. But the drives haven't felt as impactful. They haven't felt as succinct. They haven't felt as what's the word? I guess like they haven't felt as strong or like to the point. It feels like there is kind of a lot of indecision when he gets towards the basket, and it feels like that's kind of been a thing that he's dealt with throughout a lot of his career. But it feels like recently that's been particularly the case. I know his 2-point percentage is down a lot, and so therefore his rim percentage is going to be down a lot. I don't know what it is. I guess worst case scenario, if I was trying to look for like what would be a thing that would actually get you worried, is he not wanting to go to the free throw line, because that can kind of be a death sentence if that is what is developing.
Yeah, so if you just look at his last 9 games, he's taken 7 shots a game. If you look at the first, I'm sorry, I didn't have it, just canceled out on me. Where was it? Where was I at? The first 26 games, if you compared to that, he was averaging 10 shots a game. He was getting to the free throw line 4 times a game. His free throw rate was 38% the first 9 game or the first 26 games of the year. Those are all down. Like you said, the 2-point percentage is down. And again, most importantly for me, is that this is a guy who's just been, the team has been much better when he's on the floor in the last 9 games. This is the first time I've ever seen them just be better with him off the floor. So he's not playing well. He's struggling. I'm not concerned. Like you said, 9 games isn't enough to make you concerned. And I do think your point of when you are a diehard fan, you cover the team and you're seeing stuff every single day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games feel like 82 games, and it feels like, oh God, it's over, blah, blah. And you can't really realize that the season is full of ups and downs. He did have a similar stretch like this last year in February, if you remember. Like, people were like, oh, he's not playing well, something wrong. And then he flipped it around beginning of March and was fine the rest of the year. So
Cade has bad weeks. You know?
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, Ausar has too much of a sample size of just being a very good player and being a highly impactful player for me to think that these 9 games are like indicative that, oh, actually he's not good. It doesn't seem like that's possible. So we'll see what happens. Is there any final thoughts you have on Ausar and how he's played?
Ausar and how he's played. No, I think that we kind of covered it all. It's kind of I don't know if you know, Amen obviously has kind of taken off here. Last 15 games, he's shooting 80% from the line.
Yeah, he's been spectacular, man.
Ausar was supposed to be the better shooter in the draft.
He was. I say that all the time. Coming out of the draft, it was Ausar. Amen's the better player, but Ausar, if you're projecting as a shooter, it's Ausar. Ausar showed more shooting in OTE.
Ausar shot like 31% from 3 at OTE, and they played with an NBA 3-point line. And
he was doing off the dribble shot creations, 3s too at the end of the year. Like, don't know what happened. Ausar is having a great year, man. First 2016, he was having a great year. I refuse to believe that whole year that's just down the drain. I think he'll come back. But let us know, comment section down below or over on Twitter at Khahil. How you guys feeling? Are you guys concerned about Ausar Thompson? But that's all we got for you guys today. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Free and available on all your podcast platforms. Hit that subscribe button to the YouTube channel. Leave us a 5-star review, whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. Till next time, I'll see you guys later. Stay safe out there, and peace out, everybody.